Welcome to the Recap Lunch Hour with Guff. Ryan McGuffey. It's all brought to you by our proud partners at Hooters. Visit the closest location nearest you. There are 11 of them in the Chicagoland. OriginalHooters.com. Order.hooters.com. If you want to pick up your order on the way home, on the way to a friend's, on the way to watch the game, there's a new drink of the month. We're going to talk about that coming up, the Blueberry Lemonade, certainly coming up later in the show. Certainly a beautiful, beautiful day here in the Chicagoland area. The comments are already pouring in. I asked a couple of questions about should the Cubs jump the trade market as now that we're in June and they start a big road trip there in Washington tonight for a 3-game series. Jeff Passan released an article today about the 30 teams in baseball and who needs what and what he's hearing in the intel, saying the best fit could be Sandy Alcantara. My question is that the best the Chicago Cubs can do with a guy that's got an ERA hovering around 9? And then I would also like to open the show with just an absolute apology. Not going to jump to the bet of the day, but what I will tell you about the bet of the day for those of you who tune in for it, the last two bets I've given yesterday on Monday and then Friday have been White Sox prop bets, specifically player prop bets for their offense. And their offense was historically bad last year. And folks, quite frankly, they're historically bad again this year. So here's what I'm going to do by opening the show with a team that ranks dead last in the majors in OPS, and that includes the Colorado Rockies, which, by the way, congratulations to the Colorado Rockies for getting their 10th win. I apologize. I apologize for including a Chicago White Sox offensive player in the bet of the day. And until further notice, I shall be slapped into purgatory for giving you White Sox bets to cash. So I'm going to not do that. Maybe I picked the opposing team, but I will not be giving White Sox bets out anytime soon. You guys can hold me accountable for that. I apologize. They have knocked us off the train that was rolling. And that's on me, giving you prop bets for a team that was down big and early and had position players pitching yesterday by the end of the game. Eric, happy Tuesday to you. Big road trip for the Cubs. Let's get a winning record. The Sox are a joke to watch, just a civic embarrassment. Bears mandatory minicamp is this weekend. Bulls another day in paradise. Eric just checking every box. Look at Breck Bear. Huge news for FIFA America. The Fire say, screw the Bears, screw the White Sox. We're doing our own thing. We're going to fund a privately funded stadium on the lot in the 78 that the White Sox wanted. They're saying, give us the 22,000 seat, $650 million stadium at the spot that the White Sox were trying to get. Good for the Fire if they get this done, by the way. That should be a great spot. And you would think it's multi-purpose, multi-use, not for other teams, but for for concerts, etc. Becky, can the Cubs sweep the Nets? Well, yeah. Can they? I will say, don't overlook the Nats, though. The Nats are a team that's hovering around 500. They're a team that wants to get back to the winning ways. They have they're a fun young team. They actually are in third place in the NL East. And of late, they've won 4 out of 5. They beat the Seattle. They had a big road trip. Went to Seattle, went to Arizona, won 4 out of 6 there. Those are not easy teams to beat, by the way. You go back and look, they are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They are 10-4 their last 14. They are no pushover, and they are trying to get back. Can they sweep them? Sure. What's my prediction for the Bears record next season? Right now and until further notice, I'm right in that 8.5, 8-9, 9-8 mode. I'm not going to jump out here and start giving you double-digit wins for a team that I want to believe in and think that they got the right guy at the head coach. That schedule, folks, not all that easy. I think they're an 8-9, 9-8 team right now as we talk about this on June 3rd. I hope I'm wrong. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong I hope I have the under on that. I hope it's 11-6. But I look at their schedule. I'm trying to be realistic, and their division's no joke. I think the Lions take a step back. I think the Vikings take a step back, but they're not. The Lions were 15-2. They could be 11-6 and still be really, really good. The Packers are going to be good. I mean, that's just the way it goes. I'm going to with 10 wins for the Bears if they stay healthy, says Eric. Cubs, yeah, the Detroit Tigers wisely chose to move Tarek Skubal to Friday night against the Cubs rather than pitch him against the White Sox, and I don't blame him. So they have a TBD in there today for that start, and I think that's going to be a fantastic matchup on Friday. Becky, I saw a post that the Cubs might want Kelly or Zach Gallen for a trade. It just depends. Zach Gallen, I think everyone's kind of like got their antennas up for, not just the Chicago Cubs. Everyone wants to know what direction the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to choose. Right now, they're 7.5 back of an NL West that seems improbable to win. They're 28-31. They got to get moving, and they got to get moving quick because there's a boatload of teams in front of them, including the Washington Nationals at 28-31. You would think Zach Gallen, I believe, is in the last year of his contract, that he would be an attractive candidate. What's going on? Velasco PCA, the player of the month. I mean, tough not to be, right? PCA had himself, I want to pull it up here. The player of the month we talked about yesterday, somebody brought up, would you rather have for this season only PCA or Kyle Tucker? I still chose Tucker because I believe the best parts of Kyle Tucker are rubbing off on everyone else. Peyton says he wants Zach Gallen, not Sandy Alcantara. The Alcantara thing, like I saw Passan say that he he comes to the Cubs and things change. I don't know if that's true. I mean, here's what Gallen. Here's what Alcantara did in May, folks. Okay. He was 0-4. He gave up 4. He was 0-4 with a 8.64 ERA. That's not what we're looking for. Becky, heard that Gallen is not good. Whoa, come on, Becky. Where you at? Zach Gallen? Zach Gallen's been a really good pitcher for quite some time. And again, this goes down to I'm pulling up Zach Gallen's numbers. This goes down to the Cubs needing another starting pitcher. He's got a 3-7 record with a 5.54, but I want to see what his back of his baseball card says. Last year, 14-6 with a 3.65. The year before that, 17-9 with a 3.47. The year before that, 12-4 with a 2.54. He finished third in Cy Young voting in 23, fifth in Cy Young voting in 22, ninth in Cy Young voting in 2020. I like what it says on the back of the card. I would take a chance on Zach Gallen for sure. Yeah, I don't know if they've purchased the 78, the Clyde on that. By the way, Clyde, good to have you back. All right, let's, for all the ignoring that I do to you, good to have you back. They haven't purchased the 78. Nothing has been finalized yet. That's what they're proposing now. Peyton, that's definitely false, Becky, in terms of Zach Gallen. That's why I went through the numbers. What's up, Swayze? What do you think about Gallen and or Kelly being available? We're talking about Zach Gallen right now. It's really about a team choosing direction. The Arizona Diamondbacks still have quite a bit of they still have basically 2 months to figure this out and who they are. And the team that went to the World Series a couple of years ago at this time was under 500 and went on a massive run. If you look at their June, the Diamondbacks, you're at Atlanta and Cincinnati, basically 2 teams you're tied with. You have the Seattle and the Padres, at Toronto, at Colorado. Like they have a 6-game stretch late in the month where the Diamondbacks go to Colorado, to the White Sox, home against the Marlins. They got 9 straight against the Rockies, White Sox, and Marlins. I'm not counting them out at all right now. Peyton says he just needs to change the scenery. I just gave you 9 games that they could easily rip off and go 8-1, 7-2, and now they're over 500 and they're in the wild card hunt, and maybe they're acquiring rather than the other way around. What's going on, Kyle? Happy Tuesday. See the Fire owner is putting up his own money to develop a new stadium. Project estimate. The Chicago Fire Stadium, a big topic here on the Recap Lunch Hour today, brought to you by Hooters. Good lesson for Mr. Reinsdorf to learn to use your own money for a new stadium. Breck Bear, is that news true, even though you are Denver? Yeah, Breck Bear is a Denver guy. He's in this chat every single day. Happy the Fire beat the Sox to building a new stadium in that spot. Jerry's a joke. I understand the frustration here. You got to be willing to put some of the money up. You can't just say, I need a handout and ask taxpayers or private equity to take care of the bulk or all of the stadium purchase. Good afternoon, Dustin, coming to you from Omaha, head of the Cubs Storm Chasers tonight. Are you getting worried about the Brewers now that they got hot and appear to be finding their stride? No, because the Cubs, prior to yesterday, now they're a half game back of the Mets, have the best record in the National League and the best run differential. I'm a big control the controllables and worry about what you do, not what other people do. And right now, I don't know why, with being 15 games over 500, I would be worried about the Milwaukee Brewers. Let them continue to do their thing. You got your own stuff to take care of. Kyle, the Cubs have a prospect to make a deal with anybody, quite frankly. I say if you're serious about going all in, make a deal with them, Atlanta or Texas for a starting pitcher. Preference would be Atlanta for sale. I put the Sale and DeGrom thing out there in the ether a while ago, and it's now or never for some of these teams. I think when you look at the standings, like the Braves, literally it's now or never. They are now 4 games under, 10 games back in the East. When you go to the wild card, the Atlanta Braves, only 3 teams in the National League are worse than the Atlanta Braves: the Marlins, Pirates, and Rockies. Like, I think I know a lot about where the Braves are right now, and their rotation. Like, if you look at their top 3, it's way scarier than the Cubs when you're talking about a postseason series. The question is, this is the team. These are the teams the Braves are trying to chase: the Diamondbacks, the Nationals, the Reds, the Brewers, the Giants, the Cardinals, the Padres, the Phillies. Are they in that mix? By the way, the Brewers they've won 8 in a row. They're 5 games over. The Cubs are 15 games over. That's why I'm not worried. Read it on the internet. Has to be true. Clyde, of course. I love that answer. It's always the best. Good afternoon, Phil. The real Phil Sims. Don't sleep on the Nationals. Will be a good series. I think 2 out of 3 should be expected. Cade Horton on the mound tonight. Williams has actually dominated the Cubs over his career, held him to a 208 batting average. But I think the Cubs, one thing about the Cubs, and I might be looking ahead to the bet of the day, they have scored the most runs of any team in baseball on the road. They're averaging over 6 runs a game on the road. It's always going to be about that offense, folks. I know they've struggled as of late, but on the road, they're a different team. They scored 181 runs. Okay. That's 12 more than the next best team in the National League, 9 more than the next best team overall. They're just different, and they've played fewer games on the road than just about anybody, certainly anybody in that top. They have 12 more runs than the Brewers on the road, and the Brewers have played 5 more games. Okay. There's Godfather. Rickettsville has everything except for top free agents. June 3rd, still under the luxury tax. I love when Godfather reminds us each and every day. By the way, our partnership with NASCAR. We have a partnership with NASCAR. It begins this month. We're starting it today here on the Recap Lunch Hour. More on that later. The NASCAR Street Race, just a month away. We have all kinds of tickets to give away throughout the month in different ways. We're going to give some away here on the Recap Lunch Hour. We're going to give some away on the Rush Hour. We're going to give some away in person on June 25th. So if you're a NASCAR fan, or if you're just a Chicago fan that wants to check cool stuff out, including the Zach Brown Band on July 5th. We'll get to that later in the show. Lip Ripper, I would like to apologize to that for the college baseball parlay. Never apologize for throwing a 10-1 together, Lip. I'm giving myself the rest of the week suspension and giving out picks. Just do like that I did. Take the accountability, okay? I'm not giving out any more White Sox player props, and I'm going to continue to give bets, okay? Just take a breather, and we keep on keeping them. PCA will definitely be in Atlanta, Phil. I totally agree with you. Clyde, I'm going to start calling your ass out, my friend. I appreciate you and what you've done for this country. But there you go, dude. I'm going to put that out to all of the fine folks here on the Recap Lunch Hour. I've at least mentioned your name 3 or 4 times already. Big loss for the Lions, but I don't blame a retirement if your heart isn't in it anymore. You're just tired of getting hurt. Sucks for Detroit to have to pivot so quickly for a new center. Could help the Bears not going to play. It's a big loss for the Lions, who's not just coaching staff took a big hit. Their offensive line took a big hit. Here's the thing about the Lions, and I said this yesterday. They've built from the inside out as well as any team in football, including the Philadelphia Eagles. That team, at some point, when you build I'm not going to call it a dynasty, but when you build sustained success, you're going to lose guys along the way. You can't use that as an excuse. I don't think Dan Campbell will either. Swayze, can't believe that Alcantara has been this bad. Completely agree. Which leads me to wonder if last season was a fluke. This is embarrassing for him. Sometimes guys don't recover the way not everyone has Tommy John and just comes back and is Cy Young again. So there also could be a change of scenery thing there with Alcantara that might make sense. Here's where I'm at, though. You don't want to put all your eggs in that basket and feel like, well, we're going to be the big difference. If he got his ERA down to 5.25 at this point, that'd be a huge difference. And Who knows? I mean, who knows? Here's what we do know. Hooters, with our new look here, Hooters, the proud partner of this fine program, they have a new drink out. I told you yesterday, the drink of the month. They're colorful. It's summer now. Kick off summer with a cool, refreshing blueberry lemonade. And Hooters June's drink of the month features Bullet Bourbon. Oh, now you're talking. The Ryan McGuffey special blueberry puree and lemonade. You've got to try this refreshing combo. It's the perfect way to kick off summer. I can bet you on June 25th, when we're at Hooters O'Hare for the Cubs-Cardinals watch party in the NBA draft, that I'll probably have a very refreshing blueberry lemonade. Go to originalhooters.com to visit the location nearest you. Order.hooters.com to pick up some of those tender tacos, the mango habanero sauce to go with it, the sweet heat, the cinnamon pretzel bites. You know how I like to do it when we go to Hooters. All kinds of comments pouring in here. Jess, sometimes it's about the environment. Gallen might not be thriving in Arizona. I would definitely pick up the phone if he's available. I'm just telling you, I don't disagree with you. I think you pick up the phone. I've been saying you should be checking in with different teams already. You're at least taking a call. But when you got 9 games coming up at the end of this month against the Colorado Rockies, Chicago White Sox, and Miami Marlins, you're not out of the race. You're not out of the race. Thomas coming at Clyde saying you weren't even on yesterday. Godfather, wind blowing out today. Wait, the Cubs are in Washington. However, you should take note of that because the Detroit Tigers, who scored the most runs in baseball on the road in the American League, are at the Chicago White Sox tonight. So, again, I'm leaning and tipping my hand here. Kyle, the White Sox can still build a stadium at the 78, even if the Fire build theirs. This is true. There's plenty of room there. Jerry, see the green and invest. The Fire Stadium is going to require 9 acres of land. It's a much bigger piece. It'd be cool if there were 2 stadiums. I'd be all in. The Chicago's one of the towns, one of the big cities where all of the stadiums are not next to each other. You have to go a little, you got Wrigley, you got the west side with the UC, you got the south side with the White Sox, the Bears are on the lakefront. I think Philadelphia has one of the best setups. I love Denver's, to be honest with you. Like it's Denver's is a little bit more spread out, like the way Invesco sits off of the highway. The Coors Field, the district they've built around Coors Field is fantastic. The Pepsi Center, I think it's still called the Pepsi Center where the Nuggets play. It's probably not called that anymore. Not too far away either. Probably would have, Clyde. Probably would have. We put every one of your comments on here so far. Do you think Jerry sells now in the next 2 years? I've said this so many times. Jerry's not selling, guys. There's no pending sale of the Chicago White Sox. As much as you want it, I get it. There's nothing changing in ownership at the current moment. Godfather, what are they doing with that soccer stadium in Bedford Park? Are you talking about Bridgeview? Yeah, the Toyota Park. The Fire have been playing at Soldier Field for the last few years. I believe the Red Stars play there, if I'm not mistaken. They use it as a concert venue as well. Not the best location, to be honest with you. I've been to a Fire game when they were playing out there. I've been to a concert out there. It's just kind of blah, and I like the idea. Chicago, look, I'm not the biggest soccer fan. I'm going to put that out there. But Chicago is a huge, huge soccer destination. And if you put a stadium like that in the middle of downtown, Soldier Field's tough. It's tough to get to. We've talked about this, ad nauseum about Soldier Field and just that for the Chicago Bears. They can't fill it. It's too big. It's on the lake. It's impossible to get to. Like, the interest is low. I think this would really help that. And maybe it actually sparks the other teams. Maybe it sparks the Chicago White Sox to say, get off my lawn, because the Fire just did that at the 78. They don't care about what the White Sox plan is. They want to build a stadium. They're going to privately fund it and go. Eli, do you think that they trade the White Sox? Do you think that they trade the White Sox for more bats from their depth of pitching? And do you think Davis Martin is a great candidate? I don't understand Eli right now. I've seen Davis Martin's name. I saw it in, I think John Morosi had it in his column. I think there's been some talk about him with Bob Nightingale. What are you going to get for Davis Martin? I'm being 100% honest. I think Davis Martin's a good quality arm, but why trade from the one strength the White Sox have? I just don't see it. They don't have like last year, they had the creme de la creme with Garrett Crochet. This year, Luis Robert sucks. Like, he's almost, the question is he untradeable? I don't think he's untradeable, but he's definitely not bringing back. The Sox are going to have to, if they really want him off the roster, they're going to have to ease off the gas pedal for their asking price. I do think he's attractive to teams that want to look at defense and speed because of the stolen bases in the glove. And talk about a change of scenery. This guy just needs to get the hell out of here. I don't really know. I think Adrian Hauser probably gets you a lottery ticket if he continues to pitch well. So that could be a good move for the White Sox. Maybe some of these Rule 5 guys, like the Mike Vassals of the world. But there's just not a lot there for the White Sox in terms of at the deadline to sell like there was a year ago. Charles, thanks for keeping it real even when you were wrong with your bets. The White Sox being a joke are a money-making op. It's what side of the bet you choose. Well, I promise you, as I said to start the show, Charles, I apologize, and I will not include White Sox prop bets at any point, anytime soon. They're the worst OPS in all of baseball, and that's on me. Even when a guy's on a heater, when you got a guy like Mike Tauchman on a heater and your ass is down 8-0 early in the game, Cap and I were talking. I was like, Tauchman's not even going to get 4 at bats. Sure enough, after his 3rd at bat, he was pinch hit for it. They're pitching position players. It just got out of hand. There was a report out this morning that Framber Valdez could be the odd man out once Garcia and Javier come back. Would that be a good name for the Cubs to try and trade for? I love Framber Valdez. He has not been the same dude this year, but let me pull him up. Framber Valdez, maybe I'm wrong. 5-4 with a 3.12. Let me tell you something. If the Cubs can get Framber Valdez 100%, let me give you his 22 through 25 season. 17-6 with a 2.82, 12-11 with a 3.45, 15-7 with a 2.91, 5-4 with a 3.12. I don't really know why Houston would, unless you're trading. The Cubs have the package. The Cubs have the package. I would love to have Tauchman back on the Cubs. He'll be available. I think the White Sox, he's going to be an attractive piece. He would be a good member to come off the bench for the Chicago Cubs. Guff, congrats to you and Cap on the sponsorship. You know what? Let's talk about that sponsorship right now. NASCAR, the only street race on the circuit, is here in Chicago for the 3rd straight year. Hopefully, for the first time ever, we can get the rain way the hell out of here. They've had some massive and record rainfalls. You go back 2 years. But July 5th and 6th, if you haven't been down to one of these, folks, it almost looks like a Hollywood script, especially the way when you watch it on TV. But you've been down there. I've been down there when they're doing the practice runs. It's unbelievable. You got NASCAR cars going flying down Michigan Avenue, and it's like, wait, you're looking around like, how is this legal? It's the NASCAR street race. It's in Grant Park, July 5th and 6th. You have the Xfinity Series on Saturday the 5th and the NASCAR Cup Series on Sunday the 6th. Cap and I have a boatload of tickets to give away this month. We're not giving them away just yet, but we will be giving away tickets all month here on the lunch hour, on the rush hour. We'll be giving them away on social. Katie will be handling that. We're going to be June 25th at Hooters O'Hare. We're going to have a couple of pairs of tickets with us on that specific day. We have at least 10 pairs of grounds passes, which gets you access to the Zac Brown Band concert on July 5th. So pretty awesome stuff here. We're very proud to partner with NASCAR in the Chicago street race. July 5th and 6th at Grant Park. Proud partner here on the Recap Lunch Hour. Pretty cool stuff. A lot of stuff coming in. Breck, not only did the Rockies win, but almost got 6,000 fans to experience it. If Bush is your future, Counsell needs to play him against the lefties. He hit them last year, says Alan. By the way, think about some NASCAR. If you guys are fans of NASCAR, we're going to have driver interviews as well leading up to the race. We may have a couple drivers join us here on the lunch hour. I'll keep promoting that throughout. If you guys have names you'd like to hear from or ask questions to, certainly throw them out there, and I will take those into consideration as I give names to NASCAR. Phil says I would look at Mackenzie Gore, under the radar, good starting pitcher. Here's where I think the Cubs, Jimmy says Alcantara's having an awful season, and you're not kidding. Some guys are better in year 2 than year 1 after TJ says Javi Baez. Javi Baez, thanks for joining the chat. I know you're in Chicago. You're busy playing in the White Sox, beating up on them. Going to Easy City Pizza today. Any recommendations? Thanks for the show, Guff. Pablo, I think you're trying to go to Easy Street Pizza, my friend, and there is quite a bit. If you're getting the pizza, the pie is fantastic, and there's plenty of other options on the menu. Jorge Lopez is available. Here's what's going to happen with this show. You guys are going to overload me with names for the next month, which I expect you to, but it's all just speculation as of right now. because I just said, everyone's talking about Zach Gallen. Later in June, the Diamondbacks have 9 straight games. 9 straight, 3 series in a row. Colorado, the White Sox, and the Miami Marlins. So don't think that they're looking at that stretch going, we go 8-1 there, and all of a sudden we're a wild card team if they can just hold serve leading up to that. That's the way teams think. They basically have 6-7 weeks left here before they have to pull the plug. The Cavs and the Guardians, that is a really cool setup. When the Cubs were in the World Series and the Cavs were in the finals, that was really, really cool. The Red Stars and Hounds play at the Toyota Park. Chicago Fire use it, and Chicago Fire FC use it for Open Cup games and League Cup games. Appreciate that. I did forget the Hounds play there as well, so appreciate hanging that up. Now Ball Arena, the SAC, not Pepsi Arena. Okay. Joe, is there anything that Kyle Teal taking grounders at first base in AAA possible replacement for Vaughn in the future? Joe, I was on the Zoom yesterday. Kyle Teal was the White Sox minor league player of the month. There was one question about, has he been playing other positions? He took 2 days worth of ground balls at first base. You can read into it all you want, but he was, what I loved about Teal was after he talked about, yes, I've done this. Let me make it clear I'm a catcher and I'm a really good defensive one. I think when you have Edgar Carroll and Kyle Teal, the way to keep their bats in the lineup is to get creative with playing them not only at catcher, DH, but occasionally maybe you spell one and you give Miguel Vargas a day at DH and you play one of them at first base. Andrew Vaughn was not a above average defender. He was a below average first baseman and a below average bat. And so I think the White Sox are just trying to get creative anywhere they go. Pablo is the only legal street racing in Chicago this summer. I'm definitely trying to go. Thanks for giving away tickets away. Pablo, you stay tuned. I mean, you guys are on here all the time. Okay. There will be tickets that we're giving away. What happened to Chicagoland Speedway? You live close to there, and it's a ghost town. Yeah, the race moved from Chicagoland years ago. Our good friend Scott Paddock used to be the president of Chicagoland Speedway. They stopped using that as a NASCAR spot. Look at Kyle giving us names. He wants the Michael Jordan drivers, of course. Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace. Need to get Austin Dillon or Chase Elliott on the show. I knew it. I knew if I asked you guys, you'd start throwing some names out there. David, add another L to the Reinsdorf resume with the latest 78 development, Guff. Good afternoon. Jorge Lopez is an interesting name. I knew he had a rough year last year. Here's the thing, guys. You guys are picking teams that are in the race. Jorge Lopez, currently pitching for the Nationals, he's not even started a game this year, okay? And one thing we haven't even discussed is that the Cubs bullpen ranks the last 6 weeks. They're pretty much first and second in all of them. That tells you what Palencia at the back end of the bullpen and how good he's been. I'm not saying they're not going to try to acquire bullpen names, but I think they're going to really hone in on a starter. Lowest ERA by a bullpen since April 14th. I think there's been a lot said about it. I think they do acquire a bullpen arm, but I think starter is what they're looking for, folks. That is not the – Cap says 2 of them. Cap just joined. Bet of the day. All right, so I've already apologized at length here about giving you White Sox plays.
Horrible.
Okay? Oh, now he's going to say, these are the guys. Don't be the guy who calls in and say, hey, Guff, you suck. I played your bet yesterday. Where the hell were you for the other 25 days when the rest of us were on the beach paying for our vacation that was already taken care of by the bet of the day? You're welcome. Okay? I hate when the guy reaches out and texts, hey, where's your bet? Don't play. I don't care. Don't do that. Don't play on Tuesday. Take 3 days off. Jump in on Friday. You got to be consistent. And I probably am not learning my lesson here, folks. I'm keeping the Aviators here just in case, not for today. I'm giving you 2 picks today. I can't learn, right? I can't just give you one. Here's what's fun about this. Both of these games are impacting us. We have the Detroit Tigers over 4.5 runs at -125. The Cubs over 4.5 runs at -145. The parlay is +2 to 1, basically. We're not counting the parlay. We'll count the 2 individual bets, but we're going to give you the price for the parlay anyway for playing them both. These are the top 2 road scoring teams in baseball right here. The Tigers, who are in Chicago, who put 13 on the board yesterday on a very warm day at the rate. Guess what? It's warmer tonight. Shane Smith, been by far the White Sox best pitcher. It's not even close. He is by far their all-star. He's probably already clinched a spot. He is a great story, a Rule 5 pick. I think the Brewers probably would love to have him back. Here's the difference. They're 2-9 when Shane Smith starts. Okay? So I'm going over 4.5 runs for the Tigers. The Cubs, who I know have struggled offensively somewhat of late, on the road average almost 6.5 runs a game. They haven't teed off on Trevor Williams over his career, but I like the fact this is on the road. The Cubs have played 28 games on the road, one of the fewest games on the road of any team this season. They scored 181 runs. I'm going both. We're playing them both. These count as two different bets, and that's what we're going with. I met Jeff Gordon. Have a nice picture with him. Nicest guy. Wish he was still racing, says Godfather. He is still part of their broadcast. Lopez was brutal for DC. Speaking of someone from the area and who watched the Nats 24/7. I love when William Holden drops in the knowledge. And because here's what the thing. We got people all over that can give us like real scouting reports. We got somebody in Omaha tonight going to the Iowa Cubs game. Williams in DC scouting the Nats. Maybe you're going to one of the games this week. And oh yeah, here he is. He got DFA'd, but I don't want the Cubs. Stop picking up DFA guys. That's the White Sox jobs. The White Sox are picking up flyers right now. Williams says the Nats got to spend. The youth is very reminiscent to the White Sox 1920 youth movement. Yeah, I think you're seeing better. CJ Abrams is a dude. That guy's going to Atlanta. I can promise you that. Peyton, Ryan, White Sox prospect question. Do you think that Calvin Harris gets promoted to Charlotte for the end of the year? Probably. I think that they're going to know a lot more about who they have in their organization, Peyton, by the time the season comes to an end. A lot of comments, guys. Of course, not getting to them all. We've run a little long here as it is. Pablo, same guy that complains like that about bets, gets free vanilla ice cream and asks, do you have chocolate? Appreciate the opportunity here to bet for fun. No problem. Lopez, Velo's nice, wild control, mental issues, which is obviously very sad. CJ Abrams is a better Tim Anderson. But Tim Anderson was really, really good for about those 3 seasons. CJ Abrams, the centerpiece of the Juan Soto trade years back, is better, certainly better in terms of taking a few more walks. He doesn't walk a ton. He was an all-star last year. I think he'll be an all-star this year. He's got an 833 OPS and a 135 OPS plus. All right, we'll put a bow on it. There's the bets. Bets. The highest 2 road scoring teams in baseball just happen to be playing our team here in Chicago, the Tigers, playing the White Sox, the Cubs, a 5:45 start, by the way, a 5:45 start, over 4.5 runs on the road. We're going to parlay them together, 2-0 plus 204, and try to reverse those last 2 picks I gave you, those White Sox props. Who gives White Sox props? Come on. What are we doing here? All right, we've covered it all. We've got the drink of the month, $8 at Hooters. We've got the NASCAR tickets and the partnership with them, and they'll be with us all month long here on the recap. And you guys enjoy your weather. Get outside. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Appreciate you for everybody here at the recap. Have a great day. We will see you again tomorrow. It's been the recap lunch hour with Guff, brought to you by our partners at Hooters, originalhooters.com. Order.hooters.com if you want to pick up and take home to go. Have a great day. We will see you tomorrow.